For your mobile, you will be using some wire, so I want to show you how to work with wire. I have the thicker wire here, and I also have some thinner wire. You can use it in multiple ways. I have some wire cutters and needle nose pliers. These can shape things and also cut the wire. So if I cut a piece off, I've got to come back here where the wire cutter is at, and then I just squeeze it and break it off. The thicker wire is actually easier to cut than the thinner wire. So this is going to be my piece that goes across, so hang my mobile from. So if I don't want this curved like this, if I want to have like zigzags or anything, bends in it, then I just put my fingers where I want it to bend and bend it. Now this isn't very soft, very easy to bend, so you're going to have to work at it. It's not going to give you real nice curves, but you can try. Just kind of gently bend it to get curves. So I've got kind of a curve here, but it's got more of a bend. If I want that to stay flat, then I need to make sure I'm paying attention as to how I'm bending this. So that's sticking out a little bit that way, so I'm going to... You don't have to keep this flat if you don't want to. If you want it to have like some dimension to it and go curve around that way, then you can do that. I kind of like that. Okay, so there's how to bend that and how to cut that, the thicker wire. The thin wire, again, you can use your needle nose pliers and cut a piece off. Just go back to where the cutter is, back here, and cut it. Now this doesn't like to cut through these, so you might have to kind of wiggle it a little bit to get it to cut loose. And then you can use your needle nose pliers to bend it. You can use your needle nose pliers to make a loop and twist it. You can take, say, a pin, if you want it to kind of spiral, and wrap it around that pin. So I've wrapped it around the pen here, or a pencil would also work. You see, I've wrapped it around. Now I'm going to slide that off. So now it's like a coil, like a spring. If I want to stretch that out, I can stretch it out. I can put bends in it if I want. Now this stuff is much thinner, so you're going to be attaching your smaller pieces for your mobile on here. I have cut some shapes out of cardboard and mat board, and then I took this little punch. I had a stack of newspaper underneath, so I didn't make a stabbing into my table, and I punched a hole in here, and then once it started, then I lifted it up and kind of pushed it through the rest of the way. Now when you do that, make sure your fingers are not right where that hole puncher is going to go, because it'll stab your hand or your fingers. Okay, so I'm going to take this coil that I've made, and I'm going to feed it through my hole on my shape. When you make yours, please make sure that you are coloring them or designing them however you want that goes with your theme. You can leave them the color if you want, but I personally think you need to. Then I'm just decorate them up, make them your personal design. So then I'm just twisting this wire a little bit around the other wire to make sure it's secure, it isn't going to come apart, and then I cut my excess off. Or I could take and give it a little design if I wanted. I want some of that coil there, but I think I'm going to cut it off. So I'm going to take and turn it on this side, cut it off, and then I'm going to take my needle nose pliers and make sure I get that wrapped all the way around, because I don't want that piece sticking out. I'm getting that to go the same direction as the other piece. Okay. And I'm going to grab another piece of wire, Do the same thing for this piece of cardboard shape that I've made. Again, I'm going to wrap this around. I'm going to keep this one shorter. I'm just going to spread this out just a little bit. And grab my cardboard triangle and attach it. This one's not as long, so I can just keep twisting till it all goes together. But I am going to use my needle nose pliers to make sure that that ending goes the same direction. Okay, so I have a light piece and a heavier piece. And decide where I'm going to attach them. So I'm going to put this piece on the end down here. I'm going to wrap it around. Now this is where I need to use my needle nose pliers, and I'm going to get right next to that bigger wire and twist to make sure it's tight against there, because I don't want it to be loose and slide around on me. I'm just going to keep wrapping the rest extra wire around that. Okay, and then I'm going to flip this on down here. I'm going to cut that shorter. I don't want that long. Now I don't want them the same length though either, so I need to make sure I don't end up with the same length. So I'm going to make it just a little longer. I'm going to cut it off about there. And I'm going to wrap that around this end. You don't have to put them on the ends if you don't want to. If you want to put something in the middle and try and balance it, hey, go for it. Okay. Be careful when you're tightening it right next to that piece, because it can snap. And then you'll have to start over again, or to make it shorter. Okay, so I have those two pieces. Now I need to find where my fulcrum is. And the fulcrum is where it's going to balance the two pieces. So I'm going to the camera. If I go in the middle, put my finger here. That's pretty close. That wasn't middle though. Okay, so if I go over here, see how this end is too heavy? It flips down. Okay. If I go over here again, it falls down because that end's too heavy. So I have to find where it balances on my finger. That's where my fulcrum is. So my fulcrum is right there. So I'm going to put a mark with my Sharpie, so I know where that fulcrum is. Find the end to my wire again. Hold on a moment. And so that's going to go right there. So I've got to wrap this around. Grab my needle nose pliers to get that nice and tight without breaking the wire. Now I can hold that in its place and both pieces balanced. So this wasn't center. Center wasn't balanced. It was off center to find my fulcrum, my balance. And then I can use a little bit of super glue to hold those in place to make sure they don't move on me. And I can keep building on that, adding more pieces to make my